There's new information in one of the most notorious unsolved murders in San Diego County. A new book is out detailing the 1985 murder of Donna Gentile. News 8's David Gottfredson spoke to the author, who is Gentile's first cousin.
I really honestly believe that law enforcement is complicit in her crime.
Did a San Diego police officer kill 22-year-old Donna Gentile? Her first cousin wants to know, 33 years after Gentile's naked body was found off Sunrise Highway. Her neck was broken, she had been strangled, and rocks were stuffed down her throat.
If someone is found with rocks being stuffed in their mouth, it is a symbolism of you're a snitch, you've talked.
Donna Gentile talked all right, publicly.
He said that he was going to turn Lieutenant Carl Black into the captain for having relations with me.
She was a prostitute who testified before the Civil Service Commission 5 weeks before she was killed about inappropriate relationships she had with 2 San Diego cops.
Well, he was over my apartment a few times. I had sexual contact with him.
Officer Larry Averick and Lieutenant Carl Black denied the allegations, but both of them were fired in the wake of the scandal, although Black was later reinstated.
You have a girl who gets a lieutenant fired. A lieutenant is a big deal for a woman to get fired in 1985.
In a new book, The Donna Gentile Story, author Anita DiFrancesco describes the events leading up to her cousin's murder. There is new evidence in the book, like this letter Gentile wrote to her family from the Las Colinas jail just 2 months before she was killed. "My life is in danger when I get out," the letter said, literally predicting her murder.
She said she was in danger, and she begged to stay in jail a little longer because she felt that they were waiting for her.
The book also makes public for the first time the coroner's toxicology report showing that cocaine was in Gentile's system and DNA was found in 3 different areas of her body. Back in 2007, a sheriff's homicide lieutenant told News 8, DNA found on a prostitute's body can be problematic.
If a person is a prostitute, DNA can be found on them, which wouldn't necessarily mean that the DNA belonged to the perpetrator of the murder.
After her murder, detectives combed through Gentile's apartment and later obtained search warrants seeking DNA samples from her regular customers. Some investigators said convicted killer and serial rapist Ronald Porter was a suspect. He's currently in prison, so it's safe to say they already have his DNA sample. Does that mean he's been ruled out as a suspect? Currently, the San Diego Sheriff's Department won't talk about evidence in the case, like a bite mark found on Gentile's body and one of her earrings missing from the crime scene.
I really don't think a serial killer did this.
Now, 33 years later, the woman who wrote the book on Donna Gentile's life and death still is hoping for justice.
I think someone does know, and I think it's being kept a secret.
David Gottfredson, News 8.
The remainder of Gentile's autopsy remains sealed at
Donna Marie Gentile was born on August 22nd of 1962 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She would later migrate to the Southern California area, where she had become a police informant for the San Diego Police Department after developing 4 arrest records for soliciting as a sex worker. In early of 1985, Donna would accuse few of the San Diego's finest of harassing many of the sex workers by forcing them to commit sexual acts and becoming unwilling informants. She also stated that if they didn't comply with the officers' demands, the officers would threaten each and every sex worker with extra charges and/or arrest. In 1985, Donna Gentile would testify against 2 San Diego police officers by the name of Lieutenant Carl Black and Officer Larry Averick. She will testify to the state commissioner's office that she had a sexual relationship with Officer Larry Averick, and he had been to her apartment. What would be her final arrest in just a few weeks after implicating Lieutenant Carl Black and former Officer Larry Averick of the scandal, Donna Gentile was rearrested and sent to the Las Colinas jail for women in Santee, California. She will write to a close relative stating that she didn't want to be released from jail, fearing that her life was in danger after testifying against Lieutenant Carl Black and Officer Larry Averick. And this is where I want to put my major trigger warning to some of my sensitive viewers and listeners that the case that you are currently hearing contains graphic details of disturbing real events, so please listen at your own discretion is advised. Just 5 weeks from the trial against both officers, 22-year-old Donna Gentili's nude body will be found in a ravine on Highway 30 Sunrise. She was found beaten, strangled, and rocks were shoved down her throat. She had 3 unidentified bite marks on her body in 3 different locations. She also had seminal fluids located on her body and saliva. Her toxicology report revealed that Donna had traces of cocaine in her system. It took 11 days to identify Donna's body, which many grew suspicious because they couldn't understand why it took so long to identify Donna's body, because she had prior arrest records with the San Diego Police Department that included her fingerprints. Unfortunately, we only know minute details of Donna's autopsy because it was completely sealed, and it still remains sealed as of 2024. Donna's autopsy would be the first to be sealed in San Diego County, and Donna was only 22 years old when her life was taken from her. Donna is buried at Our Lady's Grace Cemetery, and her case remains unsolved as of 2024. Tara Mia Simpson was only aged 18 when her body was found on August 29th of 1985 in San Diego, California. Her body was found in an alley near El Cajon Boulevard, which is known for heavy prostitution. Her body was set on fire in a dumpster. The autopsy revealed that she suffered from a broken nose, stab wounds to the stomach. She had signs of strangulation. She had been assaulted repeatedly before her demise. She had large doses of drugs and alcohol were found in her blood. Patricia K. Smith, age 31. Her body was found September 11th, 1985, in a El Cajon Boulevard motel in San Diego, California. Patricia was a known prostitute who will frequent the area of El Cajon Boulevard, and her nude body would be found in a El Cajon Boulevard motel. It was found beaten with multiple stab wounds to the chest and stomach. She was arrested multiple times in the early 1980s on drugs and prostitution charges. Marcia Shirlene Funderburk, age 25, was found on September 26 of 1985 in Pine Valley, California. Marcia was the mother of 2 young children where they lived in Jacumba Hot Springs. Marcia was a prostitute at the time of her demise, but she was found fully clothed. Her jeans were pulled down and sand and dirt was shoved in her mouth. Dawana Demetrius Thomas, age 20. Her body was found on October 3rd, 1985, in National City, California, on a sidewalk. There is little known about her case, but she is on the victims list. Linda Joyce Nelson, age 27. Her body was found January 4th, 1986, in National City, California. Her body was found near the I-805 exit, and there is little to be known about her case. She is placed on the victims list. Linda K. Freeby, age 30. Her body was found on January 24th of 1986 in San Diego, California. Her body was found in a parking lot. She suffered from stab wounds in the chest, and she was strangled. She was originally from Chula Vista and had been reported missing just 4 days prior to her discovery. She had no history of prostitution. Deborah Ann Stanford, age unknown. Her body was found February 5th of 1986 in San Diego, California. Her body was found propped up behind a van that was parked near a paint store in North Park. She had been strangled, and little is known about her case. Trina Carpenter, age 22. Her body was found February 11th, 1986 in San Diego, California. Trina used to also work the streets of El Cajon Boulevard. She had a drug addiction. When her body was found, it was found beat. She had been assaulted. She also had been strangled and placed into the dumpster and set on fire. Trina was dumped about 1 block from another victim who was listed as Jane Doe 1. Cynthia Lynn Main, age 26, went missing on February 21st of 1986 out of La Mesa, California. Cynthia was a daughter of a former police officer, where unfortunately she hit some bad stages in her life where she became addicted to drugs. She began to work on El Cajon Boulevard just as well. She was incarcerated for check forgery, and right after that, she simply disappeared. Her car was found abandoned in the parking lot of El Torito in La Mesa, and she remains missing until this day, and she is a part of the victims list. Michelle Riccio, age 19, body was found April 24th of 1986 in Escondido, California. Michelle was found propped up against a tree in an orange grove. At first, authorities would believe that Michelle's demise came from an overdose, but as soon as the autopsy results would come in, it was determined that she had been strangled. Michelle was last seen at a cafe talking to a friend who had claimed that she was attempting to hitch back to her parents' home back in San Marcos, California, but it wasn't until 1988 her father would actually learn her fate. He claimed that he was never notified of his daughter's death. Joanne Sweets, age 34. Her body was found May 9th, 1986 in San Diego, California. Joanne also worked the streets of El Cajon Boulevard. Her body was found beat, sodomized, undressed, wrapped in a sheet, and placed in the dumpster. Her body was found a block away from Trina Carpenter's body, and during her autopsy, it was concluded that they found traces of crack cocaine in her system and seminal fluids on her body. She was placed on the victims list. Jodelle Jenkins, age 28, body was found around June of 1986 out of Escondido, California. Jodelle also worked the streets. She was also known to be addicted to drugs, and the last sighting of her alive was seen at a Welcome Inn motel in Encinitas. Her body would be found in the same orange grove as Michelle Riccio. Her death also was believed to be an overdose in the beginning, but her parents, friends, and colleagues, they claimed that she would never had drunk alcohol, despite the fact that alcohol was found in her system. So she was officially placed on the victims list. Carol Jane Gusrowski, body was found around July of 1986 in Buckman Springs, California. Her skeletal remains were found on the I-8 freeway and remained unidentified until the early 1990s. Carol was a mother of 2 who also was a street worker out of El Cajon Boulevard. At the time of her disappearance, she was on meds for depression. Her husband would file a missing persons report after she disappeared, but he claimed that the SDPD just simply ignored it. She was placed on the victims list. Sophia Glover, age 37. Her body was found August 15th of 1986 out of San Diego, California. Sophia was a transient who was addicted to drugs. She also worked the streets of El Cajon Boulevard. Her body was found nude and wrapped in a blanket in an alley. She sustained injuries to her head, neck, and chest area. She had also been strangled. In her autopsy, it concluded that she had ingested crack cocaine and was sodomized shortly before her death. Jane Doe number 2, age unknown, was found on September of 1986 in San Diego, California. Jane Doe was found completely skeletonized, and she was found in a state of severe decomp. Little is known about her case, but she is placed on the victims list. Nancy Allison White, age 22, body found on August 27th of 1986 in Carlsbad, California. Nancy's new body would be found by 2 boys in a lagoon about 5 days after she was reported missing by her husband. She was not on drugs, nor did she participate in any of streetwalker activities. She was living at the Marine Corps Air Station in El Toro with her husband. She was driving to Santa Ana when her car had broke down, in which she had informed her husband what had happened. Law enforcement would later locate her car containing her purse, luggage, but she was missing. She was placed on the victims list. Jane Doe number 3, her body was found on October 1st of 1986. She was between the ages of 18 and 23. Her body was found at the Paula Indian Reservation, which is in Riverside County. She was a white female with medium to dark brown hair. Her tattoos consisted of a swastika and a butterfly on her buttocks. She had a rose on her right breast and a heart over her left breast. She was wearing a brown sweater and underwear. She was placed on the victims list. Teresa Marie Brewer, age 26, body found October 4th of 1986 in San Diego, California. Teresa was a streetwalker who was addicted to drugs. She will be found strangled on the I-8. She was left fully clothed and still had her jewelry on. Her ex-husband separated from her because of the drug addiction, after which he returned to Michigan. He had claimed that shortly before her death, she had called him and told him that she wanted to get her life back straight and leave San Diego. She remains on the victims list. Cindy Jones, age 20. Her body was found October of 1986 in San Diego, California. Cindy was known to be a street walker for El Cajon Boulevard. Her body would be found on a street in San Diego, California. She was found strangled. Little is known about her case, and she remains on the victims list. So that's our conclusion of part 1. If you are ready to join me on part 2, do so by liking and subscribing, and to share for more of these great cases and content. Until next time, love each other, pray for each other, and be nice to each other. Thanks for watching.